The city streets were loud with cars, yet one boy's soft voice cut through the chaos. Every day a frail young boy stood near the same cafe, asking strangers for food. Most people ignored him, passing by with hurried steps. But one day, a wealthy millionaire noticed. At first he dismissed it. Just another hungry child in the crowd. Yet something about the boy's eyes, filled with both hunger and quiet dignity, pulled at his heart. What the millionaire saw when he decided to follow the boy home that night would change his life forever, and shock everyone who hears this story. The millionaire, Richard Carter, was a man known for his sharp suits, private jets, and towering reputation in business. To the world, he seemed to have everything: success, wealth, and power. Yet inside, Richard carried an emptiness that no luxury could fill. That evening, as he exited his luxury car, he saw the same boy he had noticed before. The child stood near the cafe's entrance, holding a worn-out plastic bag. His voice was steady but gentle. "Sir, do you have something to eat?" Richard paused. He was not used to being stopped, especially by a child. For a moment he wanted to brush past, but something in the boy's persistence struck him. Instead of walking away, Richard handed the boy a warm sandwich from the cafe. To his surprise, the boy did not eat it immediately. He tucked it carefully inside the plastic bag and whispered, "Thank you." Then, without another word, the boy hurried down the street. Curiosity lit up inside Richard. Why would a starving child not eat food instantly? Against his usual nature, he decided to follow the boy quietly. He had no idea that this choice would unravel a truth greater than any business deal he had ever made. Richard kept his distance as the boy walked through narrow alleys and dimly lit streets. The city lights faded into darker corners where wealth rarely visited. After nearly 15 minutes, the boy entered a rundown building. Its paint was peeling, the windows cracked, and the doors barely held together. Richard's chest tightened as he stepped inside behind him. Up a creaking staircase, the boy opened the door to a small, candle-lit room. Richard froze in silence. Inside, he saw two younger children sitting on the floor, waiting with hopeful eyes. Their faces lit up as the boy pulled out the sandwich he had saved. Without hesitation, he split it into 3 parts, giving each sibling a share before taking the smallest piece for himself. Richard felt his throat tighten. Here was a boy who had nothing, yet thought first of his family. The millionaire, who had been surrounded by abundance all his life, suddenly felt poor in comparison to this child's heart. As he watched, the boy comforted his siblings, telling them, "Tomorrow will be better, I promise." Richard realized that what he had just seen was not only survival, but sacrifice, something no amount of money could buy. That night his decision was clear. He could not walk away. Richard knocked gently on the broken door. The children froze wide-eyed as the boy turned around in shock. For a second, fear filled the air. What was a rich stranger doing here? But Richard's voice was soft. "Do not be afraid. I only want to help." He stepped inside and placed a bag of groceries he had bought on his way back. Loaves of bread, milk, fruit, and even warm blankets. The siblings stared in disbelief. The boy whispered, "Why? Why are you helping us?" Richard sat down on the floor with them, a floor covered with old newspapers. He told them, "Because you reminded me of something I lost long ago. I once had a brother who shared his last piece of bread with me when we were young, but I forgot what that meant. Tonight you reminded me." Tears filled the boy's eyes, but he stayed quiet. Richard could see the weight of responsibility on his small shoulders. For the first time in years, the millionaire felt something real: humility. That night, Richard made a vow. He would not just give them food for a day. He would change their lives forever. And the next morning, he returned with lawyers, teachers, and doctors, all ready to give the children a future they had never dreamed possible. Weeks turned into months, and the children's lives transformed. They moved into a safe home, went to school, and received the care they had been denied for years. Richard visited often, not as a savior, but as a friend. For him, this act was more than charity. It was redemption. The boy who once saved food for his siblings had saved Richard in another way, by reminding him what humanity truly meant. The world later learned about Richard's generosity, but he refused interviews, saying only, "The true hero is the boy. He gave more with nothing than I ever did with millions." The boy grew into a strong young man, finishing his studies with honors. On the day of his graduation, he looked into the crowd and found Richard smiling proudly. Their bond was no longer between a millionaire and a poor child. It was between family. And so, a chance encounter on a city street changed not just one life, but many. A boy searching for food ended up giving a powerful man something far greater, a reason to live with purpose. Sometimes, the smallest voices carry the greatest lessons.